but there's something much deeper and much more evil than what they're telling you, and it affects all of us. What's going on? It's your boy ConservTives with the ConservTives and the Red Pill Reality. And usually we try to keep things a little light, but it's heavy this time because we're losing so many lives to mass shootings. In the last week, there's been 3 mass shootings, killings, and 2 within 24 hours of each other that has taken the lives of over 30 people. And what it's done is thrown the country into panic and fear, as you would naturally think it does. One side politicizing everything immediately and trying to connect these crimes in any kind of way they can to Donald Trump, therefore connecting him to conservatives, which by proxy they want to connect him to Christians. That's that. What they're doing is they're trying to set themselves up for 2020 so that they can connect us and everyone like us to white supremacy, criminal crime, so they think that it's going to guarantee them votes. So they're taking advantage of any kind of tragedy that they can immediately right out the gate, and trying to blame Donald Trump for his quote unquote rhetoric and what he said and how he said it, so that people can, are the ones that are killing people are doing it because of Donald Trump. Forget the fact that half of these people already say that they're not Republicans, or they're not conservatives, or they don't like Donald Trump, but they kill people anyway. The crazy thing about it is when you know killings happen like Sandy Hook and Fort Hood and other ones that happened. I don't remember, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember any conservatives or any conservative of any prominence, certainly not any senators or whatever, blaming Obama or trying to connect those shootings, those killings to Obama. But yet you have them immediately connecting it to Donald Trump. You have Beto O'Rourke coming out of his side of his neck saying that Donald Trump is a white supremacist. And the problem is that, like, they're based in no fact. They're not based in anything true. And what that does, but I'll be honest with you, it doesn't surprise me, because the liberal leftist ideology, the way that they think, they don't attribute issues that happen with personal responsibility. It's always some bigger thing that is driving is ideology. They live in ideologies and they don't take personal responsibility for things. We, on the other hand, on this side, that's where we come from: personal responsibility, pull yourself up by bootstraps, but at the same time, if something goes wrong, it is your fault and you handle it and deal with it. And so we, on this side, and everybody that I know of, want to blame the shooter. Even when it was on Obama's watch, we blame the people that actually did the crime, not a quote unquote ideology that they supposedly adhere to, right? So that is the same thing that we expect to have happen when it is on our watch, but they're not going to do that because they want to connect us, Donald Trump, the right, to this, because collusion didn't work, and putting him up on charges with women, the whole grab him by the what, that didn't work. None of that works. So they're trying to do something to set it up or take advantage of these tragedies to set themselves up for 2020. But the problem is that this is an issue that goes way deeper than white supremacy or hatred. See, we have a generation of young men that have grown up not valuing life. We didn't teach them how to value life. We didn't teach them that they are responsible for their actions. We taught them how to be disgruntled and how to be, entitled and feel like they are victims and they have to do something about it. And so what they do is, in order to, I call it the Joker syndrome, where they are so distraught and mentally messed up and spiritually messed up that they will set things to fire just to watch them burn. You guys remember that line in Batman? Well, that's what it is. They are a lot of them are, they're creating these manifestos that are confusing, saying they're not for either side, and they're doing these things just to do them, I believe. But what it's doing is causing mayhem and confusion and fear, to where America is not going to be the way it has been. And I have some bad news for you guys, some bad news and some good news. But the bad news is that I don't think it's going to go back. It's going to go back to the way it was. I don't think that it's ever going to be where we can, like in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when we can go outside and just chill, whatever. Because when a country leaves God, there's scripture all over the Bible that talks about when you leave God or when you leave him behind, that, you set yourself up as an enemy of God, and then he takes his hand of protection off. Now, God's people, we are not exempt from tragedy, but we are the ones that are bearers of light, that carry the light to the darkness and his light to the darkness. And we should not be afraid. What we need to be able to do is give people that hope of glory, that this place that we live in, that you cannot legislate evil away, is passing away. This is why I always tell people, and the message of the Christocrats is to take conservatism one step further, because conservatism by itself is not going to save America, because we have people that are too far down a path of evil. And I talk to people all the time that are on the other side, and they have no ability to reason with you. They do not want to reason with you. You could bring up all the great points all you want and think that, they're trying to come to a middle ground, but they do not want that. They're past the point of convincing anything. You and I, we might be able to be convinced, might be able to see, if Trump did something that was so super crazy, so bad, and it was obvious, then we would say, unless those people that are really standing for Trump, but everybody else who has a brain would be like, yeah, that's not cool, that's not right. We don't agree with that. I don't follow a man. We don't follow a person. The only person we do follow is Jesus, but we follow and we live by an ideology. And so far, Trump has been doing the things that benefit everybody. Forget about his delivery, forget about how he does it, but what is he getting done? Obama was slick, he was cool, he was like, everybody's dope older brother that they want to be like, but he really was stabbing everybody in the back, especially the black community. He wasn't even doing anything for us. That's a whole nother issue. But this whole thing about it being white supremacy is just a trick. What about, and then they're going to jump into the gun control thing, like they just always do. They're trying to come for your guns eventually, and we cannot fall for that, because we are called to hold the standard up, establish the kingdom, protect those that are unprotected as much as we can, as long as we can, until Jesus comes or he takes us home. And that is the job of the Christocrats. So those of you who are conservative that may not be a believer, or you may be a believer, but you're kind of put that on the back burner, you don't talk about politics or whatever, it is past time that you come out of the shadows and be vocal. They're going to tell you that thoughts and prayers are nothing. We don't want to hear that. We want something done. And you and I know that prayer is the most important thing. Now, prayer doesn't guarantee that you and I will be taken out of tragedy. It doesn't guarantee that. But it does mean that the hand of God and the Spirit of God can come in and can intervene at times and can definitely show himself strong and uplift and help us through situations. And if we were to, as God's people, were to pray and to act out what we're believing, meaning like we're able to speak those things that are truth and in love. I heard of a group that was going down to Baltimore to help clean it up. Like, we Christians should be on the forefront of that. We should call out white supremacy when we see it. We should call out sin when we see it. We should call out what's bad. But at the same time, we need to remember who's behind all that and fight him, not the people. So My encouragement to you through this video is it is high time to to stake your claim on what is right and what is not right. This is not a result of Donald Trump's words. No, he should not be blamed for some crazy person or some demon possessed person that goes out and does these things, because you have to be demon possessed to do this kind of a thing. They said the Walmart guy would corner somebody and shoot them. You know, you've got to be void of any kind of goodness in order to do that. Flick a switch, you know, play video games all your life for shooting and killing, and it desensitizes you. That's part of it. People want to poo-poo that, but it's been psychologically proven that that has an effect. But we need to be the first ones on the forefront. You know, we need to lead the movement when we see a problem to try to see if we can fix it, if we have the resources to do so. And if we don't have the resources, then we help those that do have the resources. So my job, what I'm trying to get you to do, is to come out of the shadows, begin to represent Christ. Forget about representing Republicans and for sure not Democrats, but we're the ones with the answers. And the answer is not going to be that this earth is going to become some nice utopia. The answer is that we have a way out. You can have your hope outside of this earth. And no matter what happens to you, or what happens around you, you have the hope of glory that your existence is not revolving around this earth, and that this earth is as bad as it's going to get for you, and that your sins can be forgiven. Check it out. The biggest issue that all of this stuff is, whether it be through guns or knives or a freaking crock pot, like they did with the Boston bomber, it's sin. Sin. We need to call it what it is and not be afraid. So let's make sure we're rooting that sin out in our own lives, and let's not let the rhetoric be told that it is Donald Trump, it's his fault, and then that becomes a big thing, and everybody, and then all of a sudden they say it so many times and it becomes a truth. It's not him. It's bigger than him. It's deeper than him or any man. We didn't blame Obama when these things happened on his watch. It's not Obama. It's the enemy behind that, and it's sin in our own lives. So let's make sure we don't have that. Let's make sure that we are standing up for the kingdom, and that is the number one thing, and that we don't allow this sin and division and evil and false words drive us. Let's make sure that we're not thinking in terms of race over our allegiance to the King, to Jesus. Let's not be led by feelings and by what we think and by what our offenses and how we've been offended, and we lead by our allegiance to the King. So let's hope and pray. I'm praying that there's no more gun violence or just violence, period. The answer is not more gun laws. They're going to try to push that down the throats all the way till 2020. That's not the answer, because you cannot legislate evil. But at the same time, there are certain things that we can do. And I might do a video about what my suggestions are on what we can do to be more safe. But we covet your prayers. Go ahead and make sure you pray, because before it gets better for us in eternity, or before it gets anything, it's going to get worse, I believe. And we can't allow that to cause us to fear and shrink back, because we are the heroes in the story. You've got to be the hero that God has called you to be. Love God, hate sin. We're not left, we're not right, but we're up. 3 mass shootings in the span of a week, and 2 within 24 hours of each other. Something else is going on. They would like you to think that it's white supremacy.